Hi, everyone.
Hi again.
We're in the Proclaimers book on page 94. We're in the era of Knorr, and we're on a subtitle called A School Founded on Faith. On September 24, 1942, a further stride was taken in the era of increased education. At a joint meeting of the boards of directors of the two legal corporations, Brother Knorr suggested that the society establish another school, using a building that had been constructed at Kingdom Farm at South Lansing, New York, 255 miles northwest of New York City. The purpose of this school would be to train missionaries for service in foreign countries where there was a great need for kingdom proclaimers. The suggestion was unanimously approved.
Albert D Schroeder, who was then 31 years of age, was designated registrar and served as chairman of the committee to get the new school organized. My, did our hearts leap for joy at this amazing new assignment, he says. The instructors got busy right away. They had just 4 months to develop the courses, work up the lectures, and gather a library. The course of advanced Christian education covered 20 weeks, the Bible being the major textbook, explains Brother Schroeder, who now serves as a member of the governing body. Of course, this is 30 years ago. Brother Schroeder is long gone.
On Monday, February 1st, 1943, a cold winter day in upstate New York, the first class, with 100 students, commenced. Here was a school truly founded on faith. In the midst of World War II, there were only a few areas of the world to which missionaries could be sent. Yet with full confidence that there would be a period of peace during which they could be used, prospective missionaries were trained.
You kind of want to throw up your hands here and say, what doublethink? I mean, we'll use the word hypocrisy, no doubt, but doublethink at least, right? What you spend a lot of time defending your ignorance as witnesses based on a text that you think applies universally for all history, which is the text that says that the disciples were unlettered and ordinary. So you decry the higher education that Christendom exalts.
Yeah.
And here you're bragging about what? The founding of your first school.
Yeah. So it is hypocrisy, and it is a doublethink. If it's Christendom doing it, it's pride. If we do it, it's God's blessing.
Do you not know any history? First of all, when you use that text, the disciples were unlettered and ordinary. That's by Jewish standards.
Yeah.
That is, they hadn't gone to rabbinic schools. Do you know how many hours the disciples had spent in synagogue if they were 30 years old? Somewhere between 10 and 20,000 hours they had spent in synagogue hearing the word of God.
Yeah.
All of them, men, women, and children.
So I would say they probably would be better educated by far than most of us, any of us.
That most of us who have gone to seminary.
Yeah, because they not only heard the word repeatedly, they had to memorize because they didn't have books. Not everybody didn't have a scroll at home that they could check. They listened and they memorized, so their memory work would have been far ahead
Astounding
of
by our
ours.
standards, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the education thing, Christendom. Okay. Do we know how Oxford University, Cambridge, Yale, Harvard, Princeton came into being? These were founded by Christians to train Christians in the Word of God and other things that you think are valuable in their higher education. So all of these institutions, some of which have been around for 800, 900 years, and the American ones at least for 300 or 400 years, Princeton I think around 1800, but the other two older, going back to the Puritan era. Do you understand just how much investment Christendom has made in higher education? Where do you think the Bibles came from that you use?
Yeah.
They came from these institutions, seminaries and universities. So
Yeah.
even in our lives, we've known people who exemplify this passion for higher education in our home church.
Yeah.
Bob Blackburn, who was 90 when we were hanging out with him, but he'd been the man who built the University of Toronto Library from being an average library, that is having 1 or 2 million books, to having something like 15 or 20 million by the time we knew Bob.
Yeah.
That's the kind
It
of
took
thing
decades to do it,
that
build
Christendom takes for granted.
Yeah.
We met Bob, by the way, in just our church environment. We didn't know who he was until later.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we built our library, remember it took us, 7 years to build the Apologia Library in our ministry?
And it was a very specific library, but about 10,000 books.
10,000 volumes. You have to figure out what you want first and then go out and acquire them. That takes a lot of investment of time and money.
Even this comment about the need for missionaries. Missionaries have been used by Christendom for centuries. They've been sent out way before you were sending out people. Before
Constantine, before there was a Roman Catholic Church, there were Christian missionaries going all over the world.
Yeah. And then the middle of the second last paragraph, where it says the instructors got busy right away. They had just 4 months to develop courses, work up the lectures, and gather a library. The course of they call it Advanced Christian Education, covered 20 weeks, the Bible being the major textbooks. Well, this seems a little ridiculous. First of all, where are you getting these educated instructors?
Who are they?
Yeah. What are they instructed in? That they have to build up a course that's going to educate people so that they can do this job.
Yeah.
And, when I was in the witnesses, there was a lot of smart people, but there was a plateau that you could reach when it came to biblical knowledge.
Yeah.
You had to all believe the same thing, know what the Watchtower taught, and so you could reach that level, and that would be about it.
You could master the Watchtower publications is about the height of your accomplishment, right?
So there's not a lot of variety in what people know in the Watchtower.
Yeah, I think Ray Franz's story and his 2 books exemplify the problem. Here's a man who was trained as a missionary, was a missionary, the next generation after Schroeder, was a missionary, and comes back to New York to join the headquarters staff, and then finds out what he doesn't know. Yeah. It's a bit too late when you're 50 to figure out, hey, Christendom's got better stuff, better resources than we do.
Being sent to their libraries, use their materials. The very people we're dissing all the time, use their stuff to write your stuff, and he's surprised by the magnitude of stuff that's out there.
So that was his first wake-up call, really. Ray Franz's work on the Aid book, and which later showed up, of course, in the Insight book. I don't think he's ever been credited. But as far as we can tell, Ray's wake-up was just to see what's available out there and to realize the depth of material that is available to use on a project like the Aid book is because they've been doing this for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And the capacity for self-criticism is also there in Christendom, which of course is not at all allowed. You're not allowed to challenge major doctrines or even minor doctrines.
Yeah.
If you're desirous of rising through the ranks in Jehovah's Witnesses. Right. This is not the case in the colleges and the universities and the seminaries of Christendom.
So you've got amateurs training amateurs.
Yeah.
And we have, we have criticism thrown at us from the secular world that we're an anti-intellectual group. They're aware of it.
We've got a link here, right? This is Harold Bloom, who happens to be America's foremost literary critic of the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Who wrote a book called The American Religion that we've made videos on before, and we've made several from Harold Bloom's evaluation of Jehovah's Witnesses. He calls them the most anti-intellectual of American religions.
Blind to their self-contradictions. Yeah, that's accurate.
So we'll put that link on your screen. See you next time.